Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, this is my fifth video and I'm following a slightly different format just for this video or other future videos in which I need to explain a complicated grammar rule, which is hard to do simply orally or verbally. I don't want to do that. So I hope this format helps for what I'm doing in this video. That's all I'm saying. So what I'm looking at here is something called non-restrictive, non-defining relative clauses, and it goes back to essentially the problem with commas, because there is a belief among some students, and maybe native speakers as well, that commas are merely decorative, or that they are simply to indicate a pause in one's speech, and that they don't necessarily change the meaning of a sentence. And this is wrong. This is a misnomer, and it needs to be addressed. And that's why I have this sentence here right at the top: a panda eats, comma, shoots, comma, and leaves, which is actually the title of a book that was written, I saw this in the UK maybe 10 years ago or more, about the importance of commas. I'd have to dig that book up. I don't have a copy myself. But the point is this: the original sentence is without commas. You just say a panda eats, shoots, and leaves. And shoots and leaves are both nouns, i.e. shoots is referring to bamboo shoots, and leaves are the leaves of a tree or the leaves of plants. This is what a panda eats. They eat bamboo shoots and leaves from plants. But if you put commas in, please know the second comma is a serial comma, which is unique to American English. British English does not. The British do not put commas with ands. They don't see the point of doing that. But once you put the commas in, or even just the first comma in British English, it has the same effect. Shoots and leaves become verbs. They're no longer nouns, they're verbs. So we say the panda eats, and then he shoots, maybe with a gun, maybe with a bow and arrow, maybe with, he shoots, a ball, he's playing soccer or something. And then we have leaves, which means he goes, right? He gets up and he leaves the place. So commas do have an effect. By the way, this is a handout that I use. I sometimes use this just to teach this point to my students in class. So I have two sentences here. The first has no commas. The second one has two commas. So I say, my students who love grammar will pass the exam. My students, comma, who love grammar, comma, will pass the exam. What's the difference in meaning? The difference is this. The first sentence is called restrictive or defining. The second sentence is non-restrictive or non-defining. The first sentence restricts and defines. Like in Arabic, the word is tahdeed. It's the same idea. What I'm saying in the first sentence is that it is only my students who love grammar will pass the exam. It's only them. The students who do not love grammar, they will not pass the exam. I'm defining it. I'm saying these people are over here. These students are part of this group. They will pass. These students are part of this group. They will not pass. I'm defining them against each other. Whereas in the second sentence, I'm saying who love grammar. That's merely additional information. What I'm really saying to you is all my students will pass the exam. That's what I'm saying. So you have to remember, when you use the commas, it depends on what you mean. Do you mean to say that all of them or some of them? Is it restrictive or non-restrictive? That's the first thing. The second thing here is there are rules. There are rules for using non-defining clauses. And this is what I want you to bear in mind as a starting rule, as a starting point for you. So the first thing is one of a kind. If you only have one thing, you're talking about one thing, then that's what you're talking about. For example, you only have my father or my mother or my husband or my wife or whatever, or maybe you only have one brother, one sister, then that's what you're going to say. You're going to say, my father, comma, who is a businessman, comma, likes fast cars. If you take away the commas in this sentence, for example, the meaning, or the implication at least, is that you have more than one father. That's the implication. If you take away the commas, the implication is that you have more than one wife, right? And maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you don't want to give that implication because it's only one of a kind. So if you have, say, brothers and sisters, and obviously I hope you have more than one friend, but if you have two brothers, two sisters or more, then you're probably not going to use commas when writing about them, because you would want to define them against each other. So that's the first thing, one of a kind. Now, building on that, we have the second rule, which is proper nouns. Jeddah, comma, which is on the Red Sea coast, comma, is close to Mecca. Because proper nouns tend to be one of a kind. There's only one Jeddah. There's only one Manchester United Football Club. There's only one Wimbledon. There's only one Mohammed Sadiq al-Minshawi, or whoever else you want to think about. Names of person, of people, places, and things. All right, we call them in Arabic Ism al-Alam. They tend to be one, so they have to follow that. They have to follow that rule. You have to use commas. They have to be non-defining and non-restrictive. Because if you take away the commas in the sentence of Jeddah, which is on the Red Sea coast, comma, is close to Mecca. If you take away the commas, the implication is that there's another Jeddah somewhere. Maybe there's a Jeddah on the East Coast. Maybe there's a Jeddah in another country, and so forth. And then the last thing, which also builds on the first rule, is demonstratives, when the thing is clearly indicated. This bottle, comma, which is in my hand, comma, has water inside of it, because you're clearly indicating it. Either you're holding your hand, as in the sentence here, or you're pointing at it, or you're clearly gesturing towards it in some way. And therefore, there's no need to define it against something else, because it's very obvious what you're talking about. Whereas if you're using a demonstrative, but you're talking about something that's not clearly indicated, that guy whom I met yesterday works at the mall. Who is that? I saw that guy again. Which guy? That guy who works at the mall. In this case, you have to define him, because that guy could refer to anyone. So that's how it works. Now, I understand this can be quite a complex and complicated and confusing grammar topic. So this is just a starting point. This is just a little handout that you can look at. I hope the whole thing comes on your screen. You should be able to see it. And I'm more than happy to receive questions from you. I could do future videos on this, explaining this thing. Maybe one day in the future I'll try to do a video with a whiteboard or something, or figure out how to do it on my laptop. That might be better. But I hope this is helpful. And inshallah, I will see you soon in another video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.